All right. I just hit record.
Your
Something should
content
come
is
up
being
saying,
recorded.
there it is. All right,
Cool.
perfect.
And then if you don't mind, we'll have a conversation about Dewey Pest Control and online brand reputation management, and then
Yep.
I'll just on to them.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll just kind of go through just a little history of ChatMeter for Dewey, and then a little bit around the local SEO space to understand how to get better rankings and how Google weighs this in the grand scheme of things and how that trickles down to all the other review sites out there today, and then a little bit about the product. You probably have more intimate knowledge than what Dewey does today, so maybe you can kind of fill in the blanks as we go. But just to kind of give you a
kind of short and sweet, that'd be good too, because I think they're already familiar with the product, and they are going through evaluation of tools, so they've heard a lot. So it's not like not like they need to be sold. It's just a matter of which path are we going down. And being a big company, 32 locations, it's a matter of, and a lot of people, it's a matter of adaptation of using something and then managing change, just to give you insight.
Yeah. Totally get it.
Change as in people.
Yeah. So let me just go through this real quick. I'll just keep it really high level. So ChatMeter, 10 years old, just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And this number's a little bit outdated, but we're working with about 1.6, 1.7 billion locations, and we work very well in a lot of industries. It's really our bread and butter. And this is just a couple of some of our larger clients. But we're very well versed in kind of the corporate mentality as well, even the franchise mentality. So I'm sure Dewey is solely corporate owned, so it makes it very easy because there aren't too many cooks in the kitchen, and everything can be consistent through all the locations that Dewey might have. So that's just a little bit about ChatMeter. But when it comes to the local SEO space, and this is probably going to be a review for everyone, but again, back in the olden days, you would sit in front of your computer and you would type in plumber near me or electrician near me, and you get a top 10 results, and you would look at them all, read the reviews, and figure out where you wanted to go to get service. But when the birth of the smartphone came out, that dramatically changed the game, really. And now, since 2015, mobile searches have far surpassed desktop, laptop, and tablet combined. And more importantly, that real estate has shrunk. So instead of being a top 10 now, it's a top 3, or what Google calls a local pack. So this is probably going to be a really stupid question, but have you ever used Google Maps before?
Every hour.
So that's where we play. So when someone, goes on the phone and types plumber near me, we want to make sure that Dewey comes up 1, 2, or 3. They want to be in that local pack. And there's a lot that goes into that. So when it comes to what Google has kind of put out there in the world and where they set the bar, a couple of years ago, it was really all about local listings management. So do you have the same name, address, phone number, URL, hours of operation, things like that. And they wanted to see that was consistent through all the providers out there, all the review site providers. So the same on Google, the same on Facebook, Yelp, even the tier 2 and tier 3 ones like, Yahoo and Bing and Merchant Circle and Foursquare and all these other little ones. They wanted to make sure that information was consistent. And if it wasn't, then that would hurt your local SEO rankings. Last year, they decided to slice the pie a little bit differently and divvy it up. And so where they still have a huge focus on local listings management, but now things like review signals and social signals have trumped that greatly. About 35% of the pie now is those types of things. So are you getting reviews? Are you monitoring reviews? And more importantly, are you responding to reviews and social media in a timely manner? And if you're not doing that, then they're looking at you as a quote-unquote untrustworthy business because you're not engaging with your clients and you're not responding to them in a timely manner. And even today, they've gotten even more granular with their new algorithm, like with Q&A and attributes. So are you able to give detailed answers about common questions about the business, like in the plumbing world, are you insured? Are you certified? Things like that. Are you putting attributes around each one of your pages on your Google My Business account or your Facebook accounts or your Yelp accounts, things like Things like, do you have 24-hour service? Do you have a specialty plumbers for old homes? Things like that. I'm just making stuff up, but these are the things that they want to see on these pages. And then even live pushes. So that might not apply to Dewey's, but a couple weeks ago I was in Apple with my wife. She cracked her screen, and within 30 seconds of me getting in there, I got a little ding on my phone that says, "Hey, we noticed you're on Apple today. We'd love to get some feedback on your experience." Kind of creepy and Big Brotherish, but that's what they're doing. So there's a lot that goes into that, and if you're doing these things, then you're going to be rewarded with better rankings. If not, then it's going to dramatically hurt those rankings, and businesses, or even more importantly, competitors that are doing this, are going to get more business and more traffic to their locations, like click to call and things like that. So we want to make sure that we give you the ability to go in and monitor these things and then give call to action. Go do these things and respond to these reviews and respond to social and make sure that you can make your business the best business possible. I probably don't have to go into the importance of managing a Google My Business account. I'm not sure if you're doing that for Dewey today. It sounds like you might be, but you probably know the importance of going in, claiming pages, updating these things with relevant information, because Google wants to see this. Is that something you're doing today for them?
Yes. On a monthly ongoing process, claiming all of the listings and optimizing all of the listings.
Got it. Okay.
Get the best local.
You'd be surprised how many people aren't doing that.
Well, it's hard. It's so time consuming. It's hard.
Yeah, because if you look at all it's like 70 something sites out there, not are all relevant for every industry, but to go to every single one for 32 locations just for Google, that's going to take time, and then have to do that with Facebook and then the Yelp, and then you can see where I'm going with it. And then
there's over 100 different sites that we claim, and you've mentioned a bunch of them, like Mantra and City Search and Foursquare, and
Yellow Pages, Super Pages. There's so many of them. There's so many of them. Even with Facebook, and I kind of harp on Facebook a lot because they're so nice, because I'm sure Dewey wants to expand and grow. And so in the future, when they open a new location, or God forbid they close a location, or whatever it might be, Facebook is so nice, and they'll create a page for you, but they'll never tell you that they create a page for you. So it's important that they're managing their own parent-child account. I'm not sure if that's something they do internally, or they kind of leave that to you guys. But again, it's equally as important as Google My Business to be able to do these things. And not only
you bring up a good point, because all these companies, they buy data from like InfoSpace or some big data collections company, or like Dun & Bradstreet, and then all these companies like Thumbtack, which is a pretty popular one, they'll just create business profiles for you. By the way, one of the biggest culprits is Indeed.com, which is a job recruiting site.
Yep. And we can actually pull in reviews from there.
ZipRecruiter. So it goes on forever. It's just these companies, when they want to launch, they buy the data, and then it's the business owner that has to protect the reputation to go out and see what people are saying about them, or to claim the directories, or to update their information. And if they ever move a location, you just said it there. You just said it. They move a location, and they got to go out and clean up.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you look at kind of the big aggregators out there, like Factual and all them, their data isn't the cleanest data. Yeah, well, Yext is a totally different beast. Yext is more of a syndicator. They're a listing syndicator. So what they'll do if you said aggregator, sorry about that. Them, with Yext, they're a listing syndicator. That's how they started. They're the 900-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to listings management. But the thing that they do is that they will put a sticker on that listing, and then if you ever end your relationship, they take that sticker off, and it reverts back to the old listing that they had, and they don't push out permanent updates. That's actually something we do, and we take pride in as part of, as one of our services, is that we have an entire listing management team here that will go out and push out monthly updates to each one of the locations across all of the review providers out there, to make sure that that information is uniform and correct across all the sites out there. Because if there are any inconsistencies or unclaimed pages or duplicates, things like that, that dramatically hurts your local ranking. So we want to make sure that we're covering that as well.
And that's why we don't work with Yext. And we used to work with a company that was affiliated with the Yellow Pages, and I forget what they're called, but they're currently out of business.
Interesting.
So we do it
I'd be curious
manually,
to know who they
manually, which is brutal.
And you don't want to be doing that. It's just the time it takes to go out and do that is mind numbing. I mean, at a former company that I used to work for, they had so I used to work for another software company called Classy that did online fundraising. And one of the things, this is kind of a side tangent, but they work with oh crap, I can't even think of the name right now. Yeah, Salvation Army. And Salvation Army does a lot of online fundraising. And they had one person that would basically live in a spreadsheet 3.5 weeks out of every month just updating it, of getting new donor information and things like that. And now if you kind of apply that same mentality to going through every single site out there to update all your listings, you can see how much time that is wasting in regards to where, you know what, I could reallocate that if I had something that's a bit more streamlined and a bit easier to work with. Then maybe I can go out and scout a new location for a business, or I can work on a marketing campaign or something like that. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, you know, how much work it takes to go out and actually update all these things. So yeah, just side tangent, just wanted to say that. But
Gotcha.
When it comes to Facebook, Facebook is actually the #1 review site out there today. Now, that doesn't apply to every single business, but just because of the sheer number of people out there, it is the #1 review site. Unfortunately, only about, I'd say about 70% of reviews on Facebook actually have some sort of context behind it. Google is second, and unfortunately, Google has about, it's about a 50-50 shot if someone is going to actually leave some context about their review. More often than not, it is just a star and no one left any content whatsoever. Yelp is third. It might have the least reviews out of the first two, but Yelp, about 99% of Yelp reviews have great content. I mean, if you ever go on Yelp, someone always writes sort of like a doctoral thesis about their experience with a restaurant or a plumber or whatever it might be. So it's a great way to see really good content around how your business is doing. And because we're a Yelp Knowledge partner, we have the ability to bring in all that data directly into our platform and not only monitor, but actually respond to those reviews directly in the platform, and also look at things like Yelp Insights and Yelp Listings Management as well. So these are all things that we can help with and help streamline within the platform. So that's just a little bit about the local SEO space. A little bit about the product, actually. Just a couple of things, because this might be a refresher for you, and we've added a lot of new things. I know I've been here about half a year, and compared to what the platform was, I've seen the platform like a year and a half ago compared to what it is today, and it's just light years better, and just more intuitive, more user-friendly. It's just a great way to have all this information at your fingertips. So I guess my first question before I jump into this, right now for Dewey, are you guys monitoring things like images that people might post on the location sites and social media and things like that?
Are we monitoring it? Yes. Are we doing a good job at it? We're trying. We're currently.
I know there's a lot of data there.
And then with the employees and getting them to post information, we're trying. Ryan, would you mind holding one quick second?
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. so my point is, there's a lot of data out there, but more importantly, one of the things that differentiates ourselves from the rest of the pack is that we have the ability to look at images based on geotags. So that means we can look at the GPS data behind things on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter where people will take a picture, leave a comment, but never mention that business by name. And so this way we're able to bring up out of the weeds maybe images that are bad and what people are saying about them, or the good images where you can actually start storing these things, creating really good content libraries around the businesses, and that way they can push them out in, social media posts. A quick story here. We were presenting to Lowe's last year, and we had their CMO in the meeting. We had their whole social media and rep team in there. And one of the images that popped up when we went to what we call our media tab, you can probably guess what that is a meth pipe sitting on one of the shelves. So the story behind this was an employee went out on his quote-unquote break and came back, emptied his pockets on a shelf, and forgot to put that back in his pocket. And so a couple minutes later, father and daughter walked by, and the daughter, picked it up and said, "Daddy, what's this?" And the dad was like, "Oh, really?" And just snapped pictures of it and just plastered it everywhere on social media and on sites, and only said now offers hashtag meth, but never mentioned Lowe's whatsoever in the post. So basically that meeting came to a grinding halt. The CMO was like, "We need to get this picture down now because it's killing our reputation." And so, but the fact that they couldn't find it because Lowe's was never mentioned in it. So we were nice enough to be like, "It's here, here, and here, and here are the steps you need to take to go take it down." And they went and did it. And so they saw great value in that because that was very damaging to their brand. And they, I think it had been online for a couple weeks, so God knows how many people have seen it. But that's just one of the things that we can do within our platform is bring those images up out of the weeds, whether they're good or bad, and give you eyes on those. Like the one at McDonald's here, someone's cat fell off their tooth and fell in the chicken nugget box. Someone bit into it, and he's like, "Oh, this is interesting." A couple weeks ago, I was talking with a large bank here in Southern California, and one of the pictures that I found was a guy on Instagram had posted, he just took a snapshot of his desk. And the caption under it said something like, "Oh, I hate my job. This is my 30th loan application of the day. I just want to go home and have a beer. Hashtag I hate 9 to 5, something like that. But if you look closer at the image, you can see social security numbers, names, earnings potential, things like that. And basically that meeting stopped. He said, "Ryan, I'll call you back in a half hour." Apparently they had to fire this guy because they have a no tolerance policy. And because I was able to bring this to their attention, they were able to avoid a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And apparently he broke 10 federal laws by doing this. So you always want to have the ability to look at these things. God forbid there's nothing in there, but you still want to have eyes on those things. So that's one of the things we do in our platform. We also do first-party surveys and customized email templates that can be branded for Dewey and white-labeled for them. So I'm not sure if they're doing anything like this today or you're helping with them on that, but this is a great way to get first-party feedback before they actually might go out and post it on the internet. So the major thing with this is that it's huge for reducing negative reviews because the statistic out there is that one negative review will deter 30 people from even calling or going into your business to do business with you. And if you times that by how many negative reviews times, what the average customer might pay, you can start to get an idea of how much money you might be losing. And so this is a great way to get that feedback before someone's going to post it on the internet where it's going to live forever. And more often than not, I've been in this industry a little while, and more often than not, what I see is that people just want to be heard. They want their concerns to be listened to, and they want you to address those things and try to rectify it. And what might have been a 1-star review will now be maybe a 3 or 4-star review. And so now, again, you're getting in front of these things, you're getting this feedback, you're making changes to better your business, but at the same time, they're not posting it on the internet. And now you can really start to make a difference in the mentality of your clients. And if it is a good review, you can easily take that information and put it right on, a Dewey's website, a specific location's website. So one thing I do want to differentiate, and I think you're already doing this, but ChatMeter, we don't do anything around review generation or review gating. And the reason we don't do that is because we want to maintain the standards of what Yelp and Google have, and that's having reviews come in organically. And so because of our relationships with them, we want to make sure that we adhere to those and make sure that we're not doing anything around that. But I think you're already doing things, like that to get feedback so that people can post on the websites, which is totally fine. They just don't want to see fake reviews coming in, because what they're doing now, and I've seen this happen, is that they're cracking down, especially Yelp and Google, they're cracking down on the websites that are putting fake reviews up and putting a big black stamp of disapproval saying, do not trust the reviews on this website, they're fake. So this is one great way to get those reviews prior for someone organically going out and then feature them on the website rather than, say, a review site where you could get hurt. Then that would dramatically hurt your rankings as well. So that's another thing that we do. We also do social listening and monitoring directly within the platform and publishing. So you're managing the parent-child account for Facebook, so you can easily have all those accounts under one roof, be able to look at social media in a live setting where you can now go respond, like, re-comment, retweet, things like that, as well as do things like geofencing. So you guys have, Dewey has a ton of different locations all spread across California, and you might have managers for each one or a regional manager or whatever it might be. I'm not really familiar with kind of the hierarchy there, but one thing about the platform is that you can have unlimited amounts of people on the platform. And so you can have regional managers, CEOs, individual plumbers, whoever wants to be on this platform, you can have them on the platform. And they can physically draw a bubble maybe around just their location and filter out all the other white noise of social media and just hyper-focus on what they're doing and what people are saying about them on social media. So it's a great way to really hyper-focus on that, as well as social publishing. So creating a post, putting your multimedia in there, links, things like that, putting it on a calendar, setting it and forgetting it. Pretty straightforward stuff. When it comes to sentiment, this is probably something you haven't seen in the platform. So we have an artificial intelligence within the platform that it's learning language. So essentially what we're doing here is not only are we monitoring, be able to respond to these reviews, but now we can break these reviews down and look at topics and trends amongst the reviews to help better operationally improve those businesses. So you can come in here and put as many topics and subtopics as you want. So you might have plumber and service and quickness and quality and whatever the kind of the topics you want. And what it will do is it will look at all those reviews and pull out those specific words and look at the sentiment behind them. So the best way I describe this is you go to a restaurant and you write a review saying, hey, we went to Chili's last night. The food was great. The drinks were awesome, but our server was kind of rude. That's one review, but within there's three little reviews. There's a good one for food, a good one for drinks, but a bad for service. And so now you can start monitoring these trends amongst individual locations and say, hey, quality of service was at a 10 at the beginning of July, but now it's down to a 5 at the end of July. What the heck is going on here? So it's a great way to start pulling out that sentiment to help improve your location sooner rather than later and have those things not go unchecked. As well as having full reporting for everyone within the company. So you can create things like daily digest and weekly digest or monthly digest, whatever you want it to be, around all the specific information that's going to be important to everyone at Dewey. So you can set it up very easily, and I'll show you this in the platform, but you can have it say, you know what, I want to see all the reviews that came in this week, all the ones that have been responded to and not been responded to. I want to see what people are saying about us through Pulse. I want to see all the social media activity, how many likes did we get or how many retweets or whatever it might be. And you know what, I want to see all my listings too and see if they're accurate or if anything's changed. And have that all in a nice automated report that you just generate within the system. And every Monday morning they'll get that for something to look at over their morning coffee. So it makes it really easy to pull all that information in just a nice digestible report. And then last but not least, and then I'll shut up, but it's really about having all local SEO tools and reputation management tools under one roof. So not only being able to monitor and respond to the reviews, but getting alerts when they come in and having it delegated to the right people. Same with social media. Pulse, I just explained, and breaking down those reviews. Listings management, so making sure that your listings are uniform across all the sites out there. So there's kind of two schools of thought here when it comes to listings. We automatically give you the ability to look at these listings, but we also have a white glove service and a team here that is dedicated to going out and pushing out these updates permanently on a monthly basis. So that's part of that's a kind of a separate offering. I can go into a little bit more about that. But if you're doing all these things correctly from a local SEO standpoint, you're going to get better rankings. More people are going to find you. More people are going to click to call you, and you're going to get more business. And that's really where we fall. So I know that was a lot. Any questions on that?
Yeah. Ryan, you know what the number one question is. What are we in for? Probably the question that you like the least.
Yeah. Well, let me show you what the platform is, and then I'll have no problem going into what the investment looks like and what's involved in that investment. That sound good?
Perfect.
Yep. So I'm going to share my screen.
And I'm not being rude. It's just,
I know you're not.
The information that we need.
Yeah, I totally get it. You wouldn't be doing your due diligence. So can you see Southern California here?
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty cool map.
All right, perfect.
It's not a Google map, is it?
It might be Apple. I don't know. It might be our own map. I have no idea. I just know this is our map. But
this is an
essentially,
example account, or is this what are we looking at?
So we're looking at 10 of Dewey's locations. So if I go in here over to manage locations, this is Dewey's Pest Control. And these are the 10 locations that we put in. So this is where you would come in, add new locations, delete locations if someone moved or update the information. But we took a sample set of Dewey's Pest Control and actually put it into our platform. So we're actually looking at reviews and everything around Dewey. So if I go back to Snapshot, what this is going to do is going to give you a bird's eye view of the entire portfolio. So I know Dewey's has 32 locations, so we could just simply go in and put the other 22 in here, and then they would have their full portfolio within the platform. And so this will give you, again, like a bird's eye view of everything that's going on. So you can just click over these little icons here, and it'll give you just high-level information around every location. So this one in Victorville has a 3.4 average, has 108 reviews. Really, really simple stuff. It's also going to give you the most recent.
But is that real information, or is that fake information?
This is real. This is real information.
So those
real information coming from the review site.
108 reviews. Where those coming from?
Nope. Don't get ahead of me.
Google or Yelp or.
You're getting ahead of me.
All right, sorry.
I'm going to show you that in the next tab. But again, this is just to give you very high level information, and it will also bring in your most recent 1-star reviews, where they're coming from, what people have said, as well as your most recent positive reviews. As well as, this is new from the last time we started, this is what we call our LBV score, or local brand visibility. So this is great for businesses to kind of create a credit score for each one of their locations. So what it is, it's a breakdown of the most important information around reputation, social media activity, local search, and even competitors. So one of the things that really differentiates ChatMeter from the rest of the pack is that we will automatically bring in 5 of your local competitors so you can be benchmarked against. The reason we do that is because you might have a location that has the 4 average, 4-star rating, but if you don't know what you're being benchmarked against, your competitors might have a 4.5 rating, and logic would dictate people are going to lean towards that. So we want to make sure that we're taking every one of your locations, looking at a radius around those locations, and pulling in the most relevant competitors. And if for some reason, they go out of business, or like a competitor goes out of business, or a new one comes into town, you can easily go in here and swap out, better information. You're not married to the ones that the system pulls in. That way you're really dialing in the information perfectly when it comes to a competitive analysis. But if you want to come in here and start creating these reports, this is a great way to now pull in a rating that's going to be going to have the information that's most important to you. So say for Dewey that they're really focused on reviews. And so say, hey, you know what? 50% of my score is going to be based on reviews. I'm going to lock that in there. So no one can change that. And say, you know what? A lot of my reviews are on Yelp. And say I want to do 50% of my reviews are on Yelp. So I can lock that in there. And you can tweak this to any which way you want, so you can have the most perfect information around, your reviews, and then your social media, and then your listings management. So if you want to focus specifically on the big 3, you can do that and say, hey, I want to make sure that my name, phone, and address accuracy are the ones that I'm weighting the most. And then looking at things like search, and do I have the right keywords and rankings and insights, and weigh those things. And then even the competitors as well. So you can come in here and move the needle to have something way more heavy or less. So you're pulling in the best information. And then we have already score sets in here that are industry specific. But again, you can come in here and create one that's just for Dewey's, so that they're getting the best information. So like I said before, essentially you're creating a credit score for each individual location, and you can have this monitored on a weekly or monthly basis. And if a location goes up, that's great. If a location goes down, then you can start looking at things. And what we deem as a good score is 70 or above, and you guys, they have a 72 right now. So that's really good. They're doing some things right. But if you're coming back to Snapshot here, again, you'll probably live no more than a minute or two in this specific field. Another thing I didn't mention is that you can create groups. So if you have like a San Diego group and an LA group and a Bakersfield group, you can have specific groups in here and put certain locations. So if you have a regional manager that is responsible for, say, all of San Diego, you can create a specific group for him or her that they're only going to see, maybe 2 or 3 locations under San Diego. So it's really flexible on how you want to kind of divvy up the data. But this is just a snapshot. Again, you'll spend no more than, a couple minutes here. Where you're going to start living is more in these tabs in the middle. And reviews is probably where people spend the most time. But any questions on Snapshot before I jump into this?
No, it's really cool.
Okay. So a lot of people will spend a lot of their time in reviews. So here is where it's going to bring in all the reviews from all the websites from basically the beginning of time. And here is going to show you the quality of the reviews over, this is for the last 3 months, and the amount of the reviews over the last 3 months. This is going to be a breakdown of the sentiment. So were they positive reviews, neutral, or negative? You can see a lot of positive reviews here. Over here, this is going to give you a breakdown of how many reviews you have, and this is just a sample set of these 10 locations, and how many you've responded to, and have that numbers compared to your local competition. So one of the things I'm seeing here is that Dewey has only responded to about 37% of the reviews all time. So if I look at this and just break it down to all time, they have a 37% response rate, which is not that good. We want to have get as close to 100 as possible. But also what we're looking here, another red flag, is that their local competition all time has a 4.5 rating versus their 4.1. So again, that goes back to my comment, is that it's very, very important that we benchmark you to your competitors so you know exactly what's going on.
All right, so Ryan, break that down a little bit. What is the response rate for the competitors?
So their response rate for the competitors, so if I go back to all time here, they have a lower response rate, but they have a higher average.
Higher average, yeah.
Yep. Another thing that,
like industry average, I know it's hard to say, but what's a typical company's response rate? It should be 100%, but
it should be 100%. To be honest, I don't know, because it varies between industry to industry. I mean,
I know restaurants are really, really high.
Yeah, restaurants are very, very high. You'd be surprised how often you get someone, like I was talking with another restaurant chain here up in Seattle, and they had a 1% response rate to about 20,000 reviews. It was pretty bad. It was very, very bad. But ideally, you'd want to have 100%. I would say a good response rate is somewhere north of 85. But again, it varies from industry to industry. But this is a great way to start chipping away at that number, and it's very easy to do that. So, another red flag here is that Dewey has more 1-star reviews than the local competition. So maybe that's somewhere where we want to focus on. But they do have more 5-star reviews, which is fantastic. Another thing that jumps out here is that Yelp is actually your #1 review site. So I'm not sure if that is surprising or if that's something they already knew, but this just breaks down where you're seeing the most traffic for all the sites. So like if we wanted to start diving into, say, my best practices, we always start with Google, because Google, only half the reviews on Google have no context whatsoever. So this might be a great way to start responding to that. So if I click on Google, you can see the numbers kind of jump here, and they respond to about 2/3 of every review that comes in on Google, which is great. But say if I want to start kind of slicing the pie a little bit differently and start working my way up from, say, 1-star reviews all the way up to 5-star reviews, what it's going to do is I can come over in these custom filters and start breaking down these things in a way that's going to make sense. And more often than not, you're going to see reviews without any context whatsoever. So I can come in here and say, you know what, I want to look at all the reviews without responses because I don't need to worry about the ones with, because someone's already addressed that. And now I want to look at all the reviews without any text. So now I've broken down these reviews, and there's only 3 of them here, but now I've broken down these reviews, and I can start responding to them and say, you know what, I want to respond to all of these in one fell swoop, and I want to do it with maybe some corporate approved templates that I've created. So I can come in here and create a template and say, you know what, this is going to be labeled 1-star. I can type 1-star, no text. And now I can start creating something like hi, and then add a custom merge code. So it's going to pull in the name of the person that's reviewing and say, hi, hi, Chris. Thank you for leaving your review. We're sorry that, you had a bad experience with our service. We'd really love to understand a little bit more about what happened so we can help rectify this situation and improve our businesses and hopefully keep your business. Can you please give us a call here at this number or send an email at this address? Again, I'm just making stuff up, but this is a great way to now say, okay, I made my template, and now I want to apply it to all these reviews and then hit publish. And now in the matter of, a couple of seconds, I've potentially responded to, in this case, it's 3, but I could have responded to, 30, 50, 100, even thousands of reviews. And what you can do also is you can come in here and do kind of like a round robin of selected templates. So if you don't want it to have all the same thing, you can create a couple of templates that say something a little bit different, and say for the first 3 reviews it does template 1, and then for the second set it does template 2, and then for the third it does template 3. That way they're different, but you're also responding to the reviews. And what's going to happen here is that Google and all the other providers are going to be like, oh, they're actually taking the steps now to reach out to their clientele and respond to their reviews and care about what they're saying. And then in turn, that's going to give you better rankings. They're going to reward you with better rankings. So this is just a great way to start breaking these things down and start chipping away at this number. And then you can come in here and do it for 1-star and 2-star and 3-star and 5-star. And then once you're done with Google, and then you can go in and start working with Yelp. So if I clear this, we can click on Yelp. And Yelp is kind of a little bit of a different beast because 99% of reviews on Yelp. Oh, I refreshed this morning, so they're not in yet, so I apologize for that. But you guys definitely do have Yelp reviews in here, so don't worry about that. But this is a great way just to start going in and start responding to the Yelp reviews as well. Oh, yeah, that's why, because all Yelp reviews have text. Give it a second, and the Yelp reviews should start popping up. Here we go. So this is a great way to go in and start responding to these reviews on Yelp as well. One thing I didn't show you is that you can actually start delegating these reviews to other people that are in the system. So you could say, hey, at Ryan Riley, this review came in yesterday. No one's responded to it. Can you please reach out and respond to Eric that left this review on Yelp? And now you can start tracking that and see when the people have opened it and actually responded to the review. One thing with Yelp is that they are very famous for removing reviews and filtering reviews. So they call it non-recommended versus recommended. And more often than not, these filtered reviews have some fantastic content, but you have to go all the way down to the bottom of the page, and there's a little arrow that says look at recommended reviews. And more often than not, they are 5 stars, and you can see all the 5-star reviews that Dewey has here that aren't being showed on their Yelp pages. And frankly, they haven't been able to respond to them because probably they didn't know about them. So now they can actually go in here, respond to these with a nice personal message saying, very pleased with Jen and Carlos, did a great job. You can now respond to something and say, hey, thank you so much for your feedback. We personally reached out to Jen and Carlos and, gave them a nice pat on the back, whatever it might be. But this is great to now bring these to the forefront, and then you can also get some really good operational content around here. and we can pull all that information to the forefront. So I know that was a lot, but any questions on reviews? And then you can even dive into individual locations as well. So this is great for, owners and managers that want to see exactly what's going on just on our specific business. And then at a higher level, they can see the entire picture as well. So any questions on that? I know that was a lot.
No, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's just a great way to just boil this down and be able to start, attacking it in a way that's going to make sense for Dewey. So that is reviews. Next is social. So I didn't plug any of the social media. Go ahead.
We're running up to
we are. I'm
the
sorry.
hour.
So let me do one more thing, and then I will call it quits. But just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on here, social, this is basically just having all social media under one roof, be able to respond to it, monitor it in a live setting, and then also do publishing. Pulse is the sentiment analysis, so breaking down the key topics and pull out, trends amongst all the individual locations. Media is where we can see any user-generated posts. There's a couple of things in here. I'm going to put together screenshots after this so you can see some specific ones that I found. But where I wanted to spend just a couple of seconds was around listings. So this is where we can see any inaccuracies around listings because I know how important it is for people to be able to find, business. So essentially what we're breaking down here is looking at all the important ones and finding any inconsistencies amongst any of the listings. So we took these directly from Dewey's website. And one thing that popped up, that blatantly popped up was that there were a lot of unclaimed pages around Facebook. So if I look here at, usually when we don't see a logo or anything, that's kind of a red flag. And if I actually click on the Facebook link, it's going to see unofficial page. And a couple of these, and I'll put this in a nice neat email, a couple of these actually have reviews that are going unchecked because they haven't been claimed yet. That goes back to that age-old thing that Facebook does is they create a page and never tell you about it. Like this one has a 1-star review on it, but no one knows about it because it's an unofficial page. So someone might have created this and just forgot about it, or Facebook created it and never told you. So this is a great way to come in and either delete it or merge it with the parent-child account or claim it and update it with the right information. So again, I'll send this.
Ryan, this is just a loaded. Yep. Just a loaded question, and I know your answer to it. It's obviously your answer is use ChatMeter. But is there a way to go rather than claiming all of these pages, which then signs you up for ownership of all these pages? Is there a way to remove them from Facebook?
Yep, and I can send you guides and everything about how to remove a duplicate page or remove a page that wasn't created by corporate or was created by mistake. We have a ton of content. Our listing management team can help with that as well. Just kind of giving you best practices around that.
Best practices. Because one strategy that we deployed, we just wanted one page for Dewey, although they have multiple locations. And, that's from just from a not having enough bandwidth, that was our strategy. But realistically, just like Yelp, just like Google, on the Facebook front, we should have 32 pages on Facebook.
Because that's where the parent-child account comes in with Facebook. It's basically having that corporate page at the top, like that, kind of the mothership, and then all the little auxiliary pages under that.
But if we don't have tools in place to manage all this stuff, there's no way we'll be able to do it. Yeah, and if you want to go the route of deleting them, I'll send you all the best practice. But if you want to go the route of claiming all these things and putting it under the parent-child account, you can easily do that. And then have all that under the social tab like I just showed you so you can see all that stuff that's coming in for all the individual pages. But I'll put all this together and put screenshots. But these were just some of the inconsistencies that I found amongst, some of the pages. Like here's the wrong URL for it, and then this one has the wrong phone number. So Dewey might have, call screening and things like that where it goes to an 800 number and then it gets pushed out. The thing about looking at local SEO is that they want to have a local number. So if you look at, say, like a Google My Business account, they always give you an option to do a secondary number too.
So that might be something. I haven't dived too deeply into this, but that's pretty much the platform at a very high-level overview. There's a lot I didn't go through, but again, I'll put this all together and put it in a nice, neat email for you. And I know you want to go over pricing. So what's involved in a partnership with ChatMeter is that, one, you're getting all these tools here. The only additional services that we add on to kind of the base package is doing that white glove service for local listings management, and then also social publishing. It sounds like social media publishing isn't too huge, and if you're only going to have one account, then you can easily do that if you just have one account for each one of, under the corporate. So that might be just kind of a non-issue. But again, for just kind of the reputation platform and monitoring, you're going to get everything you've seen here today, as well as, rankings and review builder and workflow. I didn't get to those, but as well as the teams we put behind you as well. So I would be a dedicated resource, and as well, you have a customer service manager that will be here every step of the way to help onboard you and anyone else is going to be on the platform, to do training, to get all your locations in there, get all the right competitors in there, so that when you guys start, you hit the ground running and you know exactly that you have confidence that all the right information in there, and that you're pulling out all the really good tidbits and things like that, as well as full support here in San Diego. So we're all here in downtown San Diego. I can literally turn around, tap our support team on the shoulder and be like, hey, these guys need some help on this issue, and they're going to jump right to it. So that's really the whole partnership. And if we're looking at 32 locations, then it would be $1,600 a month for all the locations and everything I just told you. So that's really what it boils down to.
Very cool.
And then I'll put all that in writing as well, and then I'll send that over to you.
Awesome.
But I know we're a little bit over, but any other questions or anything you need else from my end?
No, this was helpful. Really cool.
Okay.
Cool solution.
Perfect. No, I appreciate it. Well, let me know if you need anything else. I'll be your main contact in going forward, and then I'll put this all together today. I'm kind of booked for the rest of the day, so I'm going to work on this tonight and hopefully get it out to you first thing tomorrow morning. But if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email, smoke signal, phone call. It doesn't matter to me. I'm here to help you guys.
Yeah, I saw your number, 978.
Yep.
Is that your cell phone?
That's my cell phone, yeah.
Where are you from?
Boston.
No, but like 978 is North Boston.
Yeah, I grew up on the North Shore.
What area?
North Reading.
All right, my sister lives in Reading. And I got a 617 number, which everyone's like, huh? Why you live on a Boston number and, you're in California? I grew up in Springfield.
That's hilarious. Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. So I have family in Situate. I have family in the North End. My mom's up in North Reading still. My dad grew up in Waltham. Don't have any family in Western Mass. You're out in the boondocks, though. So anything past Worcester is considered New York. So
typical Boston guy calling, Western Mass. What's that? Springfield. What's that? New York?
New York, somewhere in New York, maybe Pennsylvania. I'm not sure.
That's what they say. Have you ever been around Lake Quannaponnet?
I have been.
Yeah, so I worked at a company called Darwin Partners. You're probably younger than I am, but it was in the Network Solutions building on that Lake Quannaponnet, top of 93 and 128.
Yep. I know the area. I haven't been back in a year, but I definitely know where you worked.
Yes. Pretty cool area. So we go back every year to Reading, and usually around the 4th of July or this time of year, and it's hot.
Yep. Oh, it was 100 and something there last week, and I mean I was just in Vegas over the weekend, and it was like 112, but it was a dry heat. But it's uncharacteristic. I mean, you're in Redondo Beach, I think, so. It's like uncharacteristically hot down here, and the marine layer hasn't burned off yet. It's probably going to rain any day now. I hope.
Exactly. And what part of San Diego do you live?
So our office is downtown, but I live in South Park, so I'm basically kind of 2 miles east of downtown.
East? So not west?
So if you kind of look at, No. So if you look at kind of Balboa Park from an aerial view, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner.
Got it.
So I'm I'm a couple blocks from the actual park, but it's called South Park. It's a clever name.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been down to San Diego, but I don't know it that well. Geez, I've been living in LA for a little while. I don't even know it that well. I just try not to
LA
leave.
is a maze that I will never understand.
Oh, it's just crazy. Awesome. So now we got to get some money and move through the process.
Okay, so
we're gonna do.
Maybe you can